I got a question for you. What is the most important aspect of the energy transition?
Financing, of course. You need the money to build the power plants.
But I think participation is the most important. Without people, you could do nothing.
No, we can't forget about biodiversity. We need the ecosystem to survive.
Maybe it's a little bit of all.
Could be everything.
Yeah.
Why not to take some help from
Other people,
people,
maybe,
or maybe some-
experts and students.
Yeah.
Well, we should do a summer school.
Yeah,
let's
that's a
do
great
summer
idea.
school.
If we look at the whole energy transition, we have to build like thousands of wind parks, thousands of PV plants, and we need all the citizens to participate within it. So we have a high acceptance, we have areas that we can build these plants on. So if we look at the bigger picture, we definitely need citizen projects to conclude the energy transition. Energy utilities will be very important for the energy transition to enable citizen projects, for example, to be a service provider to the citizen projects, but also to transfer knowledge, to support the project development, and also to enable and inform all citizens about energy consumption and about the possibilities to fulfill like the personal energy transition, for example, when it comes to a heat pump or the mobility sector. So like what kind of things customers can do themselves to do their own personal energy transition.
Yeah, it's not very complex to build up a photovoltaic system, especially in comparison with coal power plants or nuclear power plants. It's a very easy technology, and especially if you think about you have a balcony or you have a small garden, there you can set up one or two PV modules and connect them with an inverter to your home, to the electricity grid in your home, and you can use the electricity directly from this balcony PV system in your home. So it's very easy to use.
I think it's very important to ensure that we have a just transition, so if everyone can partake, we can make sure that everyone is a part of the transition, and to ensure that we have a good future for all.
You see, I told you participation is important. We need people.
You're right.
Yeah, you're right. But I think financing is still really important. Let's look into that one.
Okay.
Okay.
Actually, there are two different understandings of financing in the energy sector. The first is the definition of financing that we know from management studies, meaning essentially the sources of money that are then invested into certain projects. So sources of funds is one definition. And the other one is a very common understanding of financing in the energy sector, meaning the forms of refinancing. So how does the money come back into the projects to those who gave the funds? From a participation perspective, social acceptance perspective, it's always good if you structure your financing instruments so that as many people as possible can participate. Of course, you can only invest if you do have some money. But still, of course, you can set lower minimum amounts of money that you have to invest. You can structure your financing instruments so that it's a lower risk investment by selecting the right projects, by also maybe mixing different forms of financing so that it's not only equity capital, but also other forms, for example, debt capital, combined with equity capital.
The EEG is the right instrument when we have correct details. And these are, we need by law, fixed price and not an auctioning system. Auctioning system introduced in the last decade by the governments of Chancellor Merkel lead to a decline of yearly investment, to a limitation of the investors and to a high bureaucracy. All is not easy for the investors. And most important is, auctioning system exclude mostly the civilization, the democratic investment, and bring the investment only to the big finance structures.
So I think this is pretty important, that the acceptance rises, that people earn their money, and that you have kind of an economical circle which closes within the community, because the money stays inside the community and doesn't flow outside. So I think these are pretty important points, and I think sometimes even the project wouldn't be successful or even built when there was no citizen participation, either in finance or in the voting principle, what to build and how much to build and where to build.
Look, financing, really important.
Yes, agreed.
You're right, but let's not forget about the biodiversity part. There's more to explore.
I think monitoring of environmental phenomena and monitoring of biodiversity are two major fields where citizen science and the involvement of citizens is key. And these two fields are strongly related also in the energy transition context. If we think of wind plants and the context of and the questions, for example, about the impact on the bird life around wind plants. One can find out this impact with monitoring campaigns where citizens around a wind park are involved.
Discussing the environmental impacts of both ground-mounted PV and floating PV. So when we thought about it, a common feature was choosing carefully the land or the lake that you're going to deploy the system, and this expands to other renewables as well, not only PV. So before deploying a wind turbine, for example, you should evaluate the ecosystem. You should check if that land is like in the middle of a migration for birds, for example. And in the land, when we talk about PV, it's important to keep in mind that the most environmentally friendly design will probably not have the highest output. So it's like a balance between profit and the environmental being naturally friendly, let's say.
You see, environmental protection is important in the energy transition.
Yeah, you're right.
Yes, agreed.
Yeah, we already saw some intersections between financing, participation, and environmental protection. But how do we make the link? Let's make the link.
All
Let's
together.
make the link.
Yeah, in this hands-on PV workshop, we build up a off-grid, an island photovoltaic system. So that means we connected the PV panels with each other. We connected then the PV panels to the batteries, because in an off-grid island system we need batteries. And we discussed why the topic, why do we need a charge controller or an inverter, for example, and we discussed a lot of electrical engineering questions. And yeah, we set up this PV system, and at the end we produced a lot of electricity, and we used this electricity to make smoothies, very delicious smoothies.
I guess the thing I like the most about the summer school is that it's so interdisciplinary, and we gain so many insights from the law perspective, from the perspective of the engineers.
For me, the most important lesson of this summer school and for the energy transition in general is that we need to engage the people. So especially like in the Western countries, of course, it's extremely important that people can participate in the energy transition, and they have emotions that they have with the energy transition. So people engage themselves and are engaged in energy projects and want to build something there, and also empowering people in the global south. So we want financially, of course, and then of course educationally, that we have a transfer of knowledge from like the communities all across the globe. What works elsewhere might not work in another place, but I think we can share those learnings globally, and I think those are two very important things.
Look, there are many links.
Yeah, but we still need to continue our research.
And luckily we are part of this junior research group.
Right.
Yes.